Moles, Freckles' ugly cousin. Because we watched Season 9, Episode 7, The Slicer. So, Katie.
Hello.
How did you like The Slicer?
I guess I liked it.
Okay.
I mean, it went on. We paused it at one point because there was a commotion outside. And I did sneak a peek at how much time was left.
I think 2 minutes was left.
Yeah. But it felt a bit long, but I guess I liked it. Did you like it?
There were some good things. There were some,
I mean, for a season 9 episode, I wasn't disappointed.
Okay.
I think that's fair.
Some people might disagree.
Oh.
So The Slicer was written by Greg Cavett, Andy Robin, and Darren Henry. It was directed by Andy Ackerman, and it aired on November 13th, 1997. Vulture.com ranked it as the 17th best Seinfeld episode.
Disagree.
Screen Crush ranked it as the 163rd best episode.
Also disagree.
With pretty much a one-line synopsis of, I disagree with Seinfeld fans and state, for the record, that using a deli slicer for things other than slicing deli meats is not funny.
But you know what? It was just Elaine opening her envelopes in her shoe.
Yeah.
Kramer wanted to slice them all.
There was a potential for a mole slice, yeah.
Yeah. But mainly they were slicing meat.
There were. IMDb ranked it as the 73rd best episode with an 8.6 out of 10.
I think I agree with that.
Yeah. I think maybe a little bit better than 73rd.
Sure. I guess I'm in an agreeable mood.
I'll keep that in mind for later.
Oh. Well, let's throw it back to last week when I asked you if you remembered this episode.
Kramer buys a meat slicer. And they use it in various and hilarious ways.
And?
I think I nailed it.
I'll read the synopsis. George tries to edit an incriminating photo in his boss's office. Kramer buys a meat slicer. An alarm keeps Elaine awake. Jerry dates a dermatologist. Those things all happened. So the first thing I wrote was an exclamation mark.
Because they all end up in bed together?
Well,
Jerry and Elaine end up in bed?
yeah. That's when I wrote the exclamation mark. Then I wrote Jerry's chest hair, exclamation mark.
Yeah, it's come back.
It's in a big way.
And so Elaine rolls over and you see George.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kramer comes from down below.
It's like a rugby scrum.
It's a giving lover, that Kramer.
What? I know this was a nightmare, but...
Nightmare?
Okay, I know this was a dream, but, like, there's no... I know there doesn't have to be a meaning to dreams, but, like, when Elaine wakes up, is she like, I need space or something? Like, what's the point of this?
It is a bit of a non sequitur. I think it's more for, like, the shock value that they did that than anything. I did write down Menage Alarm.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty good.
Not bad.
Who are the guest stars?
So we had a few guest stars in this one. We had Marcia Cross, who played Dr. Sarah Siderides? They said her last name a couple of times. Siderides, that's it. I wrote it down and I was like, I'm not going to pronounce this correctly. She was in Quantico, Everwood, Desperate Housewives. Kind of fell into it. And she was also on Melrose Place, where she played Dr. Kimberly Shaw. Dr. K. Shaw.
Does she get an ice pick in the head? Does she kill someone with an icicle?
In Melrose Place?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wait, is she bald?
Not in real life.
I obviously haven't watched Melrose Place, but I feel like there's a story.
Seems like you know a lot about it for not having watched it.
Well, I don't think so. Isn't there like a gif of her looking in the mirror and she's bald?
I don't know. I'm not familiar.
But I also think there was icicle stabbing.
It's the yam boiling of murders.
Yeah.
We also had Daniel Von Bargen, who played Kruger.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the introduction of Kruger, and Kruger will play George's boss for the rest of the series.
Okay.
He was in the movie The Postman, where he played Pineview Sheriff Briscoe. He was in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, where he played Sheriff Cooley. He was in Super Troopers, where he played Chief Grady.
Mm-hmm. He just has that look about him.
Yeah, so I noticed that he played like a sheriff or a police officer. So I went through the rest of his IMDb, and he played a police officer in Law and Order, Without a Trace, Malcolm in the Middle, Coastlines, The Majestic, Judging Amy, where he played a judge, Shaft, Universal Soldier, where he played a general, The General's Daughter, where he played a chief, Crimson Tide, where he played a Ukrainian, Vladimir Radchenko.
You know what? He just kind of has that
Ukrainian face?
Not the Ukrainian face. I was going to say he has that sort of jackbooted Aryan look about him.
Yeah. There was actually several other roles where he played like lieutenant whatever.
Yeah.
And, I guess you just get like typecast and they're like, we need like a cop for whatever. And it's like, call up Von Bargen.
He also has a German name.
Probably pretty cheap at, you know.
Well, you're on fire tonight.
It's the cold medication.
So George is applying to this company.
Yep. Kruger Industrial Smoothing.
Grinders, sanders, whetstones.
Yep.
And the guy goes like, well, how does your experience relate to what we do here? And George, makes up something. And he goes, well, so we need someone. So sure.
Let's go find you an office.
You won't regret this, sir. I don't care. I like this match for George.
George is the go-getter and...
Well, isn't George just excited that he won't have to go get? Like, this company doesn't care, won't notice if he doesn't do any work.
His enthusiasm for the job is...
They had a really bad year last year.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll buy him out.
They botched the Statue of Liberty job.
They couldn't get the green off it.
And so George talks about the boombox incident.
I've seen this picture.
Oh, yeah. That's probably the most, like...
This and George posing in his underwear are, like, the meme-ified moments of Seinfeld that I know without having seen it.
And the Elaine comes in and they all, like, dance in Jerry's apartment gif.
And Elaine's little kicks.
Sure.
Nothing about Jerry or Kramer.
They're inconsequential.
I would say Jerry might be inconsequential in this show. He's even Steven.
It is kind of interesting how over the years, like, I think it started off as a show about Jerry and how Jerry gets his jokes. And then Jerry becomes the
Calm
audience
center.
avatar for, like, us looking into the lives of these other people.
Mm-hmm.
There is, like, an unwritten agreement you have with other beachgoers. You hide your wallet in your shoe. You just kind of, like, leave your stuff.
Yeah. I watched a TikTok of someone who buried everything, like, under the corner of their beach blanket. Like, I've seen people wrap up stuff in a diaper so that no one touches it. But also,
in real life or on social media?
On social media. Yeah. Nobody does any of this in real life. You just leave your bag and you kind of look at it when you're in the water.
Yeah.
But this person, like, wrapped everything up in a plastic bag, dug a hole and buried it, and then put the beach blanket over it.
That seems way over the top.
What if you can't find it?
You get a metal detector.
I know someone who metal detects, and I think it'd be fun. I want to do it.
I've like sat and watched metal detection YouTube videos. You go out and you have that shovel and you...
I'm sorry. I thought I was a little bit lame saying I want to go metal detecting. You've watched videos of someone else metal detecting?
You see what they find.
You've always told me I needed a hobby.
That's why you took up golf. Katy, our meat problems are solved.
No more misshapen, shoddy meats.
So we probably should get this out of the way that I am coming in biased because I do own a meat slicer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's smaller than the SP1000 or whatever.
SP2000, yeah.
Sorry, 2000. It's 1,000 better than the 1000. We probably have an SP1000.
Yeah.
But it does the job.
It does. It doesn't. I would like one setting thinner, like halfway between a 0 and a 1.
Oh, you want to get so thin you don't even see
slide it under the door.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
I
I had to jump ahead.
Sliced it.
That door is easily 1.5 centimeters off the floor. They don't even have to slice that meat. They can throw in chunks.
Couldn't you just cram some tuna under that door?
I guess that would be messier than.
Oh yes, but
slices.
At this point, do you care?
Well, I guess they don't really care about anything.
Did churro exist at this time?
just squeeze churro under the door.
Just squeeze some meat paste under this person's door.
Open it. I mean, put it on the floor and slam it.
Okay, we should probably talk
about.
We need to talk about this neighbor.
Yeah.
Who has an alarm set for 3:30 a.m. So I'm assuming this is an irregular alarm.
Yeah, this was for
I needed to catch my flight.
Yeah.
Set my alarm at 3:30, and in my haste to get to the airport, I have forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in university, I had a friend who lived in the apartment-style dorms.
I lived in apartment-style dorms.
And he had a roommate that would leave every morning before his alarm, and then at 7 a.m. or whatever,
oh my God,
the alarm would go off.
A psycho.
And so luckily the fuse box was in the common area, and so he would just go and just turn off all of the
Why wouldn't you
fuses
just
for his room.
Stand up and turn off the alarm?
The door was locked.
Wait. Oh, not roommate in his room, like another room in the apartment.
Yes. That's why I said apartment style. So each had their individual room.
No, I lived in apartment style. There were individual rooms and there were double rooms. So I had a roommate in my room and we were in apartment style.
Then what's the point of being in apartment style?
You have a kitchen? I
had a kitchen on my floor.
How many people did you share it with?
30? I don't know.
Okay, so I shared it with 10 people.
It's not that much better.
I shared two.
I thought you were going to say 4.
I shared 2 kitchens with 10 people.
Oh, that's okay.
So that's important.
Nobody ever made anything in the kitchen except for me.
Someone who didn't live in our dorm made moose stew in our kitchen and moose chili.
So you didn't even need to live there to use the kitchen.
He shot a moose and asked if he could render it in our kitchen.
You totally went to Guelph.
Do you recognize a Mile High sandwich?
No, but I mean, I can figure out what it like.
Well, I didn't know if it was a specific recipe or it's just, like smoked meat that's the size of your face. But there is apparently a specific Mile High sandwich.
Oh, is it? What is it?
Roast beef, ham, salami, dill pickle, Swiss cheese, pepperoncinis, horseradish, dill, mayo, sour cream, tomato, and mustard.
What kind of bread?
I didn't write that down, but it looked like a soft French roll, a half baguette, a demi baguette.
I don't think baguettes are good for sandwiches.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a crusty baguette. It was like a. Do you need to look it up?
This sandwich sounds really good.
It said it was perfect for game night.
Like sports or board games?
For regular people, that might mean sports. For us and our friends, it means board games. My friend had a party when we were in our early 20s at his parents' house in the summer because everyone was home from university or whatever. And I think his parents were out at some point, but they came back and his mom made us a platter of sandwiches.
That's so nice.
They were so good. And we just sat in the kitchen chatting with mom, eating sandwiches. Drunk out of our minds. What a night.
She probably wanted to give you some food for your bellies.
Yeah. Oh, that was the night where it was daylight savings and I was supposed to be home at 2 and I got home at 3, but I was actually 2:00.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what am I in trouble for? 1 minute ago, it was 1:59. Also, who cares?
How old were you?
Early 20s.
You had a curfew?
I didn't have a curfew. I didn't have a smartphone. So this was like before people were in touch with their children. I was just gone and I was expected back at some point.
I never really had a curfew, but my parents were always like, when you get home, wake us up and tell you we're home.
Yeah, same.
And there was definitely like more than once where somebody burst into my room at 6:45
You didn't wake me up.
And I'm like, yes, I totally did.
You just don't remember because it was 3 a.m. Yeah, I had to wake someone up. Yeah. And when I did wake my mom up, she goes, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, no, it isn't.
It's hard to remember.
Time is a construct.
It is. We should all move to one time zone.
Oh my God, that's what I've been saying.
They've established in this world that there's like building supers or landlords or whatever. Couldn't you just go and be like, hey, Joan left her
alarm on. Can you like open her door and turn it off? Or, like the fuse was blown and her cat's meowing. Can you go and trip the breaker? Or there's no super in this potato building.
No.
I wondered when the automatic feeder was invented because I had cats growing up and that wasn't a thing that we had. Guess when the automatic pet feeder was invented? Give me a decade.
1870.
1939.
So I will say that there is a new company now that we have a cat.
Yeah.
I don't know if have we shared that we've got a cat?
I'm sure people can tell.
The new thing where it's like you can put a chip on your cat's collar, and then only that cat can get fed from that receptacle.
We know cats who are fed on this system.
Yes, that is a new thing.
Yes,
that's got to be.
And one of those cats is too skinny, and the other cat, the other cat shoves its head in while she's eating. So they had to
make a shim.
Put a gasket.
Cat gasket.
Catsket.
No, not a casket. So that's a new kind of invention.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's with snooty doctors?
This is so the entire time that we were watching a recent episode of The Studio.
Yes.
With Seth
Rogen.
Is it Seth Rogen? I said that and then I pictured Seth Green.
Oh.
Seth Rogen. Excellent show. You should all be watching it. But he just had an episode where there were like snooty doctors who were like, we're better than you because you make movies and we're doctors.
Have you ever met... Okay, hang on. Have you ever met a doctor who is snooty in this way and saying what you do is not important? What I don't
even think I've met doctors that are like up on their high horse. Like they're not like they're neither looking down on me nor are they expecting me to look up at them. The horse that they're on is average size and we see eye to eye.
Maybe neither of you on a horse. Yeah, okay.
I do think it's kind of funny. I remember when we became an adult and like my friends becoming doctors. And that's when I realized that like
doctors don't know anything.
These people are just people.
Yeah.
No matter who they are. And I'm sure they learned a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And are like knowledgeable. But like they're knowledgeable about that stuff like I'm knowledgeable about like my job.
Yeah.
That's all they are.
I hope our doctor friends aren't listening. We respect them a lot.
I think this is a good thing. Yeah. You know your field very well. And I know my field very well.
Yeah. But a God complex is, at least in movies and TV, is pretty common among doctors.
Sure, yeah. I mean, maybe they secretly feel like that. They just don't rub it in our face.
They just have better manners.
Possibly.
Kramer says, well, he's wearing a doctor's coat. If you buy enough meat, they give you anything.
It's a butcher's coat.
It is a butcher's coat, but I mean, it's white. It's got big pockets.
What do the doctors need all those pockets for?
Pads. Of paper.
Sanitary napkins.
Those too. Hey, you buy a lot of meat. Why don't you get free stuff?
I do. Where's that pig?
Yes, you did get a squeaky pig toy from the meat delivery company.
Yep.
I also threatened to throw it in the garbage because our child wouldn't stop squeaking it. And it drove me crazy.
Yeah, I didn't really understand their promo for why I was getting It's not like chicken was on sale and they gave me a squeaky pig.
Well, maybe they ordered too many squeaky
It's
pigs.
possible.
Just like they ordered too much ground chicken, and that's why our freezer is full of ground chicken.
It was too good a deal to pass up, Katie.
I think I need to set a moratorium on you buying food for a little while.
Last weekend was an anomaly.
Okay, we're not even talking about meat. So, okay, there's a really good meat delivery company that sources from local farms, right?
Yeah.
In the area. And it's organic, I assume, whatever. It's good quality meat, it's grass-fed and all that stuff. And it's delivered, and it's very nice. And every so often you will order meat.
Yeah.
But we don't have a deep freeze, so it fills our freezer and our other freezer.
Yeah. Freezers work better when they're full. Fridges work better when they're empty.
Why?
I don't know.
So the freezer is full,
Yeah.
and our quote unquote drinks fridge downstairs has one of those freezers up top. So like when you open the door, all the frozen meat pucks slide out.
Oh yeah.
Because there's nothing holding them in. My next note, I think, is Elaine eating the meat out of Jerry's hand.
There was a lot of touching of meat.
Yeah.
I feel like sliced meats are very wet. And you don't want other people to touch them.
Well, when they put the prosciutto on the floor for the cat, and the cat dragged it away. It left
There's visible like grease.
visible grease. And then I wrote slurpy cat eating noises, which I didn't like.
That was just probably a stagehand and not a real cat, right?
Uh-huh. And then George suggests a revenge date.
Yeah, well, we haven't really talked about how Jerry gets set up with this doctor date, and she's very
Snooty.
snooty.
Mm-hmm. And then Elaine mentions that she's a dermatologist.
Why did Elaine set Jerry up with this woman in the first place?
Because she's a good-looking, successful woman, and Jerry likes good-looking women.
I guess.
And successful women.
Well, she's very focused on dermatology as her life.
Dermatology? I liked when Jerry was calling her out at the restaurant, and he said, it must take a really, really big zit to kill a man.
So this is the genesis of Dr. Pimple Popper.
Pimple Popper MD.
Which I guess the dermatology industry has just
embraced.
We gotta own it.
I mean, you make fun of me, but I do like watching Dr. Pimple Popper.
You really, for somebody who kind of gets grossed out, like anytime anybody is fake vomiting in any
I can't
television
handle
show,
vomit.
but you want to watch people popping zits and weird lumps and surgeries and embarrassing
Love
bodies.
surgeries.
You ripped through every episode of Embarrassing Bodies that you could find.
That might be my favorite show of all time. You were out with your friends, and I was texting you screenshots of that show.
You weren't just texting me. You were texting me your face reacting to screenshots of that show.
I also sent you a lot of
Not good ones.
No, exactly. They're on Embarrassing Bodies.
Yeah.
One lady had to roll them up to get them into a bra. How can you not love a show where someone rolls up their to stuff them in a bra? It's just a fascinating slice of humanity.
These are not the I want to see.
People are pulling their pants down going, does this look infected? I also have preferences with the pimple popping videos. There's some that I will watch, and there's some that I don't care for.
What makes a good pimple? Is it the pimple or is it the TV show? No,
different types of cysts. I don't like pilar cysts. They're in your hair. I don't like how it looks when they cut open the skin in the hairline and pull something out.
So it's all about the aesthetics of removing the gross looking bump on someone.
Yes. I don't like I forget what they're called, but the really juicy ones. I don't like really wet ones. I like a solid, satisfying pop. A depow. Those are my favorite.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Some people do.
So George realizes that his boss has a picture of George in his office, and he needs to steal the picture, airbrush himself out.
Mhm.
Wrong person gets airbrushed out, and this cartoon gets added in.
I mean, airbrushing should go over an isolation layer so it can be reversible.
Yeah, I do think all of this, the guy could have been like, yeah, let me fix it. I can.
Yeah.
He wasn't modifying the original photo. He wasn't painting on top of it.
I think is implied that he was.
Well, I think even back then.
You could make a copy of a photo that you have. Yeah.
So this actually came from a real experience that happened to Jerry Seinfeld. He was on the beach in Mexico, and some guy was like walking by and was like, oh, let me take a picture. And he took a picture of Jerry and his family or whatever. And Jerry was all washed out.
Mm.
And so he's like, oh, give me 10 minutes. I'll go and fix it. And he like went away and came back and had like drawn a cartoon version of Jerry into the photo and like given
Are
that
these
to him.
Polaroids? What's going on here?
I guess. I don't know.
I have a question about Kramer.
Yeah. I think people have many.
Elaine doesn't want him going to her apartment with him to get the slicer because her shoe is stuck in it. And she says she's going to make a stop off at the circus.
Yeah, this is a throwback to, I believe, season 2 or 3, where they established that Kramer has a fear of clowns.
Is it the same episode where he is dating or has dated a circus performer?
No, because it's Crazy Joe Davola dressed up as a clown. Remember that?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But then, so later then he dates that woman who's in the circus.
Jerry does.
Jerry does, but Kramer doesn't have a problem with the circus then.
Well, there are no clowns there.
It's an acrobat circus.
It's specifically a fear of clowns.
I see. So Jerry's problem looks like staph, not hives.
Yeah, remember I had staph on my face?
Yes, that's how I know.
Folliculitis.
From jujitsu.
Yeah. And using a rusty razor.
Oh my. That'll do it. Hives are not prurient like that.
I'm not familiar with that adjective.
I think I'm using it right. Hives are your skin, but bumped.
Yeah.
They're not like crusty and red and oozing.
Yeah. I don't know which dermatologist they had like consulting when they filmed the episode.
Assuming none.
Yeah. Also, I think
they just looked in that book that Kramer had.
Probably in the era of 1997 televisions, they did something a little bit more visible than hives. I don't think hives would have shown up on like a...
Yeah, but then why did they call it hives?
20-inch CRT TV. Well, they needed something.
Yeah. So Elaine gets stuck in her apartment because Kramer rips her doorknob off.
Yeah.
There are several ways she could have gotten out.
Yes. Do you think Elaine knows how to get out?
Somebody would. The super?
The super... Probably. I mean, she had pliers because she had pliers from when she was trying to like fix the...
She could use the pliers to like turn the mechanism in the knob.
Stuff it in there and turn it.
She could use a credit card to like...
It's a counterclockwise swirl.
She could jimmy the lock with the latch with a credit card. Or she could just take the door off the hinges. She's on the inside.
That's true.
Maybe she doesn't have a screwdriver. She just has pliers that she had to borrow from Jerry. You
went all the way to Jerry's apartment across town to get pliers? Which she then doesn't even use to get the heel out. And she like knocks it against the door.
Yeah. But I wrote down that she's really grooving out to Foghat and Iron Maiden. Iron Butterfly.
I found it really interesting that they had the money for rights to those two songs. Yeah. But they didn't have, or chose not to have, Pepsi in the tag. And it was generic cola, even though it was clearly a Pepsi can that they had like painted over.
Didn't they used to have Coke sort of products?
Maybe. I don't know. The rules about like product placement and television shows. I'm sure like they could have gone to Pepsi and been like, hey, we need to use a can of cola. We're the highest, best rated show on television.
I feel like that was the prime product placement era.
I feel like maybe it was a bit before. But I feel like they could have gone and been like, pay us $10 million to use Pepsi in this 30-second tag.
Yeah. Speaking of tags, Kruger's got a mole that looks suspicious.
Yeah, I looked over at you during this Dr. Von Nostrum scene, and you looked visibly angry.
I did?
Mostly at me.
For what?
I don't know.
I don't recall. That was probably when I was getting bored.
Hmm.
But it is pretty funny that he then picks up the picture and he's like, look, same as 10 years ago. I'm fine.
I do like that this makes George crack.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I think George...
Because he's actually a good person and he doesn't want this guy to die of skin cancer.
No, I think a lot of George's... ultimately, like, I don't know if it's like he has to be right in the end, but he has to have it go his way. And so he's come to the decision that we need to talk to you about this mole, and I will get you to go and see somebody about this mole. And I will, like, even burn my scheme where you're telling me I'm wrong because I'm now right.
I think he's got a good gig and he can't let Kruger die.
I guess. I mean, at the end, they do reference, they're like, I can't believe you didn't fire you after all this.
That's all I had. It was a good episode.
Yeah, the rash turns out to be because Kramer was using Jerry's towel to clean the slicer.
And then Jerry throws the towel on Kramer's face, which is fair.
Yeah.
I have some corrections.
Sure.
So last week, we watched the Merv Griffin Show episode, written by Bruce Eric Kaplan. And that name was familiar to me. He is a cartoonist. So I would have seen his New Yorker cartoons.
Okay.
He also was involved in the episode where Elaine draws the cartoon.
Right.
I think you said that. But he's a cartoonist.
Cool.
You asked if our cat was becoming sentient. So
I did. What did I really mean?
Well, you meant becoming like with human consciousness. And so I found differing definitions for the word. So in one it says having consciousness, sense, and perception, which animals do. They perceive.
Continue on with your other definitions, and then I have a story to tell.
The next definition was possessing human-like knowledge and intelligence.
Oh, yeah.
Another one said the capacity to feel, such as pain, which they do. So it's kind of like yes to the first one, no to the second one, and yes to the third one. They're not insensate.
I remember in my grade 7 science class, we were going through like, what are the properties of life?
Okay.
And there was like...
Was this part of health class?
Yeah, like it exchanges, food and waste with its environment and like a whole bunch of like other things. And we had to like come up with like sentences, how we knew something was alive. And
is cheese alive?
I said, the tiger is alive because it thinks. And the science teacher said, no, it doesn't think. It only reacts on instinct. And I was like, okay, fine. But then like later on, obviously I've kept this with me for the past 30 something years. What is the definition of think? Like neurons being transmitted in your brain is think, right? Like processing. Yeah. So, I don't know. I assume our cat thinks.
Our animals don't do, they're not robots. They make decisions.
Yeah, but I think sentience is like realization of self.
That's a whole other thing. That is a whole other thing.
If you put a mirror in front of a cat, does it think it's a different cat or not?
I just think it doesn't have experience with mirrors. Like a cat knows.
On my resume, I have listed experience with mirrors.
It knows that it is a thing because it feels. It goes, I am hungry. You need to feed me. A cat plays. There's no. Okay, sure. It's mimicking like hunting, but it doesn't have to hunt. It knows it doesn't have to hunt, and yet it will chase the thing.
And yet it hunts.
It'll chase the thing that you're dangling because it's fun, because it wants to. Oh, so I asked ChatGPT or Google, I forget, are cats sentient? Okay, so let's get specific. It said, yes, they feel pleasure and pain and have emotional and cognitive experiences that matter to them. So that is the bottom line definition.
I don't think an LLM can determine whether or not anything matters to a cat.
I think I asked Google, to be fair.
Gemini, whatever. None of this matters to me. If I was a cat, that would be what I was saying the entire time. You'd be dangling a fish in front of my face.
But you don't feel like an animal that makes connections with a human has things that matter to them. Like if you went over and kicked our cat's butt, it wouldn't like you. That's an experience that matters to it.
I don't really know what we're arguing about, because I said he was becoming sentient. We agree that our cat is sentient, but I think we might disagree on what the definition of sentient is.
So, finally, the U.S. Postal Service, I didn't get anything for Canada, but I assume it's the same, treats things like bricks with business reply mail, cards taped to them as garbage, and they throw them out.
Yeah, fair. That's the right decision.
Yeah.
They'd probably go bankrupt if they did return them.
Next week we have the betrayal.
Yeah. I think so. This episode I've been waiting for a long time.
Okay.
I do think I might have built it up too much. And I think maybe we should just treat it as a regular episode.
I was planning to.
Okay. So it's Sue Ellen Mishke's wedding.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I've seen this episode since it originally aired in 1997.
I can't wait. Well.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Believe it or not, this is our podcast. Please subscribe at the end. If you subscribed, we would be happy. Please subscribe to us. Believe it or not, it's our podcast.
Is that a Seinfeld reference?